How do you play? Okay, so first make sure that you put your bans in. You and your opponent still haven't banned. So what you gotta do is go to your match, click on one of your opponent's decks, then click on the big yellow button to confirm your ban. Once both players have banned, just go into the Gwent menu and you should be able to just get a game invite and hop in. Yeah, the one is blue coin. We got Carapace up against Deadeye Ambush. What do we got here? We got a Armory in here. This might be the Red Dream list. Red Dream play Strays? Maybe. Yeah, double Forktail, Armory. It's a Kelly deck for sure over here on Maestro's end. Ooh, Becker's Rock Slide as an additional tall removal over the Curse of Corruption that is commonly in that spot. What's he using the extra provision for? Did he upgrade a 4 to a 5? I'm not seeing anything obvious. The deck already played Fryhead Sappers. I think it already played Maxi too. Darkseid does cost 8, right? Yeah. Anyway, Mark Looped leading on the Siri Dash, throwing the TA on it, giving it Veil, making it a little unlockable. Yep, open deck lists. You can see all the deck lists in the Participants tab. Can't see what deck is banned. That is because your opponent has not banned yet, or you have not banned yet. You'll be able to see the bans once both players have locked in their bans. If your opponent doesn't lock in a ban within 10 minutes, you will receive the win by default. Game invite will, yep, you will get a game invite from the main menu. A prize for the winner, you get VIP in chat and a Discord role. Additionally, if you're streaming, I'll probably send you the host at the end of the stream. Our dream ran Oak. This, let's cut it for Elias plus Rock. Okay. Our dreams listed in Elias. That's the swap. Cool. That makes sense. Letting the Siri get down to 1. This is getting answered, right? Or is just like saving the heat wave too important? There's a blue coin Siri. It's not the end of the world if it resolves. It's not like the red coin series that just leave you behind every turn. This series is basically just turning the coin around and absorbing a TA. Now it's like Maestro was on blue coin. Let's use to save the heat wave for later. He's got Purify to deal with Defender, and then Heat Wave to deal with Kelly or Nithral or whatever he thinks he's going to need to deal with. Also has a couple of movements as well to deal with those pesky row-locked engines. Both Dragoon and Kieran can deal with veiled melee-locked things just fine. So you might even see Heat Wave on, like, the Beast. You just lose uneven. Oh no. I don't know if that's part of the plan. So Kelly definitely gonna be pushing here at least a little bit. Yeah, Aileron pick up. In a way that could be alright. Lets him save it for round 3. Is this a Nero number 1? This is a Nero number 1, so there is a Squirtle target. No Purify in hand yet for Maestro, though. This is going to require the Heat Wave if he wants to be able to deal with it in this round. Not ideal. One of the big reasons Sappers is in this deck is to give you a more efficient answer to Defender than have to burn your Heat Wave on it. What's the countdown for? I don't know. Probably League Season. Curse of Corruption and Redea Elves good against Colgrim and Kelly. Yeah, Maestro is opting for Rock Slide instead, which is still able to answer like Nithral plus leader charge, but we got that coming down this turn. I guess Rockslide can answer the beast later on, assuming there is a later on. Yeah, Master missing a lot of his removal tools that he's looking for. Interesting, just lead on the Aileron. Would have thought there'd at least be an attempt to try to save that for round 3. Whoa! Lock and move onto the Cave Troll. Okay. So still letting it defend the range draw. Deciding the Heat Wave is more important. Does he have a movement? He doesn't have another movement for this Nithral, right? He can go... like, charges Yavin if he doesn't want to Heat Wave this. Didn't see ban. That's because there still aren't bans. Assuming you got your ban in, you are fine. But make sure that you got your ban in. If your opponent does not ban and you have, you will receive the match win in about a minute. Nope, I have not seen my card yet. Armory coming down onto the Nithral. Keeping that nice and healthy. 20-point gap here. If Maestro survives, he does have good top deck. He's top decking into Feign Death Verno for round 3. If I saw the card, would I tell you saw the card? Since it's confirmed that I'm getting a leak, probably. I don't really think there'd be any reason that I couldn't say that I saw the card. I'm very, very careful with ND8 stuff, though. More so than most streamers, I think. What is that emote? Hyper cheese? I've never seen that before.
Rubbish. This one has the life force of a cockroach.
There's Taskmaster. Is that armory click onto the Nithral? Getting it out of rock slide range. I like it. I like it. Not actually in the hand yet, but Mark Loop has no way of knowing that. The armor on the armory does represent carryover. Whether it's like random pings from Verno that lose value, or just like protecting one of your units from rock slide. Yeah, sorry. It's just so rough, because if I have 33 people in the tournament, then 30 people in the tournament, 31 people just aren't playing round 1. So they've got to wait like an hour to play their first match, and one of these days we'll get to run Swiss and I won't have to cap it at 32, but yeah. Yep, it's open deck lists. You can see all the deck lists in the participants tab of the tournament. Ooh, Strays of Spala coming down, moving the Cave Troll back to protect the Nithral, notably opening up the Beast to be interacted with. Now Squirrel gets to banish that Neuromancy. Imagine Swiss was actually running. Yeah. This... I think I'm removing this from the playlist. This sounds really... really low quality. I don't know what filtered means. I'll let it play out, but yeah. Not a fan of whatever they did to it. There's the Rodea coming down, deciding to go for the Elves rather than try to search for a different TA. Interesting play into the Kelly. Normally the extra body is not really what you're looking for. Dragon just gets to burn more stuff. Nithral killing one of the Neophytes before it gets to transform something into a Deadeye. Some leader charges to fuel the Yaven, but again, this is just more stuff that Kelly gets to burn. He doesn't even have a good target for the Yaven. He's got the Cave Troll melee and a beast that's just going to keep growing. The Yaven doesn't kill it. Yeah, just starting on the Eastern Grim, 35. There's Azrael. Kelly just keeps on burning. 31 to 52. Not sure Maestro even has the reach if marked passes here. Kelly gonna burn an additional squirrel. Heatwave can... Yeah, I mean, it's what? 17, 21 points in hand? Heatwave can just hit the Cave Troll, which only plays for 7. This Kelly burns the squirrel, but the beast grows. I believe the pass here does just 2-0. Mark Loop effectively at 45 and Maestro effectively at 36. Yeah, decides to just take the pass. Guaranteed card advantage in the worst case, knowing that he beats most things, and the Heatwave only playing for 5 points. Using Heatwave on Siri Dash lost the game? Maybe. He didn't have the interaction that he wanted for round 2. Not having the Purify for the defender, needing to move it and then just have it get moved back. Not being able to answer Nithral is kind of rough in that deck. Normally, like especially if you're not using Heatwave on Siri Dash, you expect to be able to deal with defender plus Nithral, and he just couldn't. I was surprised he didn't just gun the Heatwave on the defender, honestly. Not that it would have made much of a difference, as there was still the Strays of Spala to move the Nithral back to melee, but... just not enough interaction. Didn't draw his Dragoons, didn't draw his Rock Slide, didn't draw his Purify. And now I got the Elves up again, this time against Maestro's Reckless Flurry. What? We're spectating. This is not us. We are casting the tournament. If you want a player's perspective, I believe we Stand by Luke is streaming. Might be someone else streaming too. I know at least he is. Let's see. I think just him. I don't see Patsy live. Okay, what's going on here? Is Maxi? Yep, it's open deck lists. Yep, turn 1 Maxi. Who knows what he did with it? No way to see in the game log what action that he took. No visual indicator. If anyone screenshotted it, we can find out after he plays one of these draws or discards. There's the Coral. Gonna kill off the Swordmaster with Coral plus the newly buffed Skelligus stratagem. Making 2 crows. Considering his discard. It doesn't play Portal, does it? Yeah. Seems like the easy discard. Unless you expect to not need Squirrel? There isn't any Aromancy. Yeah, decides to hold on to the Squirrel. Oh, wait, what did he discard? He didn't discard the Adept. He discarded the Grimace. I guess that also might make some sense. There are no Vitality Bronzes in the list. No Kieran either. Oh, there's a Kieran, but is there nothing lockable? Totem. Totem and Adept's the only lockable things. What's the current score? It is 1-0 for 1-0 in favor of Mark Looped. Yeah, because this is a different elf deck. Says you won without playing. Yes, as I said, if your opponent does not ban, you will receive the match win. I've said this multiple times. Your opponent did not ban, so you received the win by default.
Oh no! You're dead already.
Dolbathana Bowman damaging the coral. Maestro deciding to just take his tempo pass up 14 points. Both players with 1 point per turn ticking. Is it a win overall or just one deck? If your opponent does not ban, you win the match. It just assumes the opponent is AFK. And if they take more than 10 minutes to get their ban in, then it would hold up the tournament too much. Especially in round 1, 10 minutes is a pretty generous window. Okay, so Elves just gonna be playing down to the long round. Did you use a leader charge that you didn't need to? I was talking to chat. You played down to 4. You play a Yavin that you didn't need to? No, use an extra leader charge. Well, I imagine regardless, this is an alright spot for Mark. Getting his long round with almost all of his elf cards. Missing the Yavin, but he doesn't need the Yavin for removal in this matchup anyway. There is a Lambert. Not quite how that works. But yeah, he's probably going to try to save his leader plus Verno for last play. Maybe play Feign Death a little bit later into the round. If you expect the Vernociel's Commando to die anyway. I guess the Feign Death is always going to get Heat Waved. Probably not going to get any Dead Eyes out of it anyway. Yeah, this is the only lock target remaining in Maestro's deck, as we looked over earlier. There's a Rockbar Hunter as well, but one of the only lock targets remaining.
So be it.
Yeah, it does pick up the Brockvar Hunter. Two very easy discards here with the Skirmisher and the Morkvarg. What happens if each player wins a game? Do they go with the winning deck? No, you have to win with both of your non-banned decks. Your goal at the end of a match is to win or have banned every deck in your lineup. Here is the Brockvar Hunter, which easily gets taken out by Swordmaster plus Bowman. SK is favored here? I would suspect not. There's not... I mean, the Lambert's big, but... Gezraz, Oak, Isengrim, Verno. Duragare has a target on, I guess, the Swordmaster? Bear Witcher can kill off some of the 3s. There are only 2 leader charges. Gerd and Lambert are cards. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The heat wave not looking great on this side of the table. With last day, I scared you here. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Last play does seem like it should make a difference here. I think Gezeros just get locked. Yeah, but it still deploys for good value. A little bit worse value with the Kieran on melee, I suppose. Yeah, possibly just able to keep the board small enough. I could see it. Probably gonna be playing Verna ranged. There's the Gird. Playing that out a turn early. Just making sure that he's able to answer anything urgent that pops up. He knows that he wants to Heatwave the Fang Death the turn that it comes down. Knows that he wants to answer the Gezeros the turn that it comes down as well. Mark Looped taking that Heatwave, knowing that 8 is the biggest unit that he is going to see out of Maestro. 2 Elves in hand for Mark. Likely gonna see Fang Death, Gezeros, Verno, Isengrim, Oak as the remaining order. Not sure there's a reason to stray from that.
Don't dare think you can escape.
There's the Fang Death. Here's the Heat Wave. Clean up some bodies with some leader charges. So we're gonna play the Gezeros on range to lacerate these 3. You could instead just jam the Verno, keep the Vernociel's commando ticking. That might make more sense. You know the Gezeros is gonna die anyway. Yeah, I like this. If you play the Gezeros, this doesn't grow this turn. Getting this down now just makes it a little bit safer. Building caught fire down the street. Appreciate the guy caught behind the fire trucks trying to honk. Oh man. Bear Witcher off Gwen, playing for that sweet, sweet shield value. Knocking out that Vernociel's commando before it can grow anymore. Here's the Gezeros. Melee this time, since there's 3 units here anyway, and this way when it gets locked, he has the extra unit in the row for the Great Oak last play. Thinking about using his last charge here. I don't believe Isengrim leader charge Oak is getting there. Using the charges now, just hoping there isn't actually the Lambert in hand for Maestro. Using one of the charges. Oh, that makes sense. Clean up that Bear Witcher before the Heron Kaduk gets clicked. I like it. I like it. But Lambert comes down here for 12, and Isengrim does not make this up. Leader charge even taken out the Elf. The Isengrim comes down, and a 12-point game in favor of Maestro. I believe that makes the players now at 1-1. As we see an Elf mirror for game number 3. Redea versus non-Redea. Now, different elf decks, One of the players brought Redea, the other one did not. The player not bringing Redea, getting their Feign Death Heat Waved. That is the big reason to play Redea in these elf decks. Being able to proc that Feign Death trigger. the turn you play it. Really leaves it so your opponent has no good heatwave targets. Where if you just play the card naturally, Feign Death becomes a pretty solid target. Yep, got the mirror here. Mark looped on the blue coin. Curious what the idea here is going to be. The rock slide's not at its best, but he will get to heatwave his opponent's scenario, while his own should resolve with the help of Redea. General bronze quality is going to be higher for Mark Looped, as he is not a Redea deck. He does also have a Gizras in the deck, which I guess just dies to a million different things. Not even a Purify here to try to unlock it if it just gets locked. Dies to Rock Slide, dies to Kieran. Mark Loop leading on Swordmaster to get that engine down. Yestro thinking about just taking the Rock Slide, applying some pressure in round 1. He's in the tank. Doesn't know whether or not he wants to commit here. Usually this deck's just looking to give up round 1, but I like these pseudo mirrors where you're both doing the same sort of thing. Opts for the Kieran, a little bit lower committal than the Rock Slide, but able to get answered by a Dragoon. Yeah, deciding the Rock Slide is not worth it.
May your sword and arm be one.
Mark Loop just gonna continue his onslaught of bronze engines. Yestro probably just gonna continue playing these 4P cards out. Might see a pass on 7 as his remaining hand is all golds.
We await the signal. Till then, don't budge.
As weird as it is to say, almost looks like a bit of an overcommit. Playing all these engines if you're expecting to win round 1 like this. Yestro does in fact take the pass on 7. Yeah, I didn't hate just like getting the bowman down before the engine just to see what happens on 7. I think you're ahead by enough. Picks up Rhyhead Vanguard. Oh, you need to wait for the round to start. You can't ban until the round starts. And the round will start when all of round 1 is completed. Solid 7-point Rhyhead Vanguard. The 1-point buff makes a pretty nice difference on this card. 7 for 7. Standard rate. Not exciting, but not terrible. Where before it would have just deployed for 6. When I was playing a full elf deck earlier on in the season, playing those 10-point Rhyhead Vanguards pretty reliably felt good. I feel like this card is the main reason to go for non-Redea elves. It's surprised to see only 1 copy.
Have you seen a fuse lying about, have you?
Did I say it wrong? 7 for 5, yeah. It's 7 for 7. Oh, whoops. Mubby. There's the Pyrotech. Mark Looped. Thinking about just deploying another 4P engine. Yeah, just like, look at the card quality here for each player. Maestro drawing a bunch of golds. Mark Looped with a few more clunkers in hand. Mark's still missing his Nero, missing his Yavin, missing his Isengrim, missing his Feign Death. Mark continuing the push regardless, trying to play out his bronzes, try to simplify the game into a bit of a better spot. Maestro now with only golds in hand. Decides it is Elias time, tempoing ahead. As Mark just plays one more bronze. I believe Rock Slide on the Commando gets ahead here. Might want to be trying to save the Rock Slide as your Gezros answer since you committed the lock into round 1. You can... want to be super cheeky. You can like a Nero into Swordmaster too. Believe... Ooh. Leader charge coming out. Yavin to take out the Verno's Commando, holding on to that Rock Slide. Oh.
We will take back what was stolen.
Letting the Commando live. I'm a little confused. Why the leader charge? Why? Was that a 6-2? Did you just misclick? Oh, yeah, this is not an elf. Okay. Yep. Yep. Turns out not everything that is green is an elf. Lessons learned. Rock Slides still maybe reserved for the Gezros? Nope. Just going to take out that 4 provision engine. Solid trade for Mark Loop there, managing to get that 8 provision card out for his 4 provision card. Elves aren't even green. They have the green symbol in their power. Gezros getting the yeet. Yeah, I mean, the Gezros gets yeeted, then the heat wave's gone for your Feign Death. This is not a Redea list. There is a Heatwave target by default. Unfortunately, it looks like Mark's just gonna lose his card, despite the trade sort of working out. Heatwaving the Gezros still gets ahead. Mark could go in hard here. Besides the Heatwave, what was there? Some elf. Elias? Trades continue. Sorry getting exploited for drawing too many golds. But now with Heatwave's gone, you're free to play the Redea. Now that that isn't getting pressured out. You could even melee the Redea to leave open the option to play Feign Death on the following turn. I just ranged it though. Okay. So committing to the Verno. But Mark just takes the pass and leaves Maestro with Feign Death, Vernacial as his 2 remaining cards. I believe he still has all 3 of his leader charges, while his opponent only has 2. Picks up the Isengrim as the first non-echo draw. Decides to just pack it in. Not finding his Feign Death. Card disadvantage. Yavin Isengrim stuck in deck. Decided he was not gonna do it, knowing there is an Echo card, Echo and Neuromancy on top of the deck. Great Oak and some bronzes, not enough. Decides to pack it in as Maestro takes the series. Worked! We're 2 for 2! Unlike the Aretuza World Cup, where seemingly every other match is broken. we're getting it done. Here we got Blood Scent up against a Rocket Swarm. What do we got here? So, full vampires. I believe there's Garcanes and Fletters in this list. Really engine heavy. When I've played this deck in the past, I felt like I always had issues with having too many engines. Like, on turn 8 of the round, I was still deploying Garcanes and Unseen Elders and stuff. Whenever the card in your deck is an engine and you don't have any finishers, it's a little awkward, but we'll see how this ends up. He's playing a Spores, a Heatwave, Azrael, Jaeger, and Wrath. A couple cards to end around with. Try to tie the game if you can, otherwise... Like, if you pass on 10 round 1, you should realize something's wrong. Doesn't Yurden win the match on the spot? Not necessarily. If you bleed with the Orianna, Yurden's not very good in a bleed round. It can get you the round win, but it won't like get you card advantage. Because if you Yurden early, the Orianna still continues to grow. That said, whether Vampires is going to be able to win round 1 to get round control is another question entirely. Yeah, I mean, if you guys can't tie, then I'll give you the game win. But do your best. It's D's Bear, too. He's played enough of these. Might have just mislooked at the bands. Previous bands might have gotten stuck. Yeah. It's a really easy mistake to make. Like, it happens at the highest levels, too. It's just usually everyone's, like, on Discord there, and they just, like, message the other player. And it gets solved, no problem. Pepega, yeah. Yeah, if you just get to round 3, you can pass it 0-0 and tie the game. That's the easiest way to do it. Would be nice if there was like an offer draw button somewhere just for tournament matches, or some way for the tournament admin to go in and void games, but alas. Anyway, this is a big points gap. Jaeger can make up some amount of reach, but short 24 here. Going for a leader charge. Okay, leader charge helps the Garcane grow. Does keep the reach up. You can almost take care with Heatwave, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. One short of being able to take with Heatwave. With ties. Not that Kuno's gonna pass here. I'm sure we're going to continue at least a bit more. As the first Oniro comes out. Could be Crimson Curse. Could just be getting another Swarm card. A Raucous Behemoth, maybe. Nope. Going for... Wisp is first. Could still be another Swarm card. Goes for the Crimson Curse. Bone Talisman's now playing for some real good points. What is this? 8 and 7. 15-point Bone Talismans. Crimson Curse getting some good value over time. Who knows, round 1 hand is very awkward. Yeah. He does have a lot of his cards that he wants later. If Soban plays his Aneromancy, Kuno's able to take the Squirrel pretty happily. He has another buffer turn with Bone Talisman. After Bone Talisman, he's on Adrenaline for that Chimera already, so it kind of works out. There's like 2 cards that he doesn't really want to play. And Zoban just takes the pass before any of that matters. So now Arrakis with round control. What are we gonna see happen here? Probably some kind of a push. Maybe. It's possible that like Yurden just wins the long round. And he doesn't need the push. Wouldn't be surprised if he respects the deck a bit though and tries to force a couple of golds out. I think this deck plays plenty of Swarm to where he should be able to swarm in rounds 2 and 3, at least threaten some push. Yeah, immediately plays the Arrakis Nest. Vampires are fooked. No reason to pretend otherwise. Yeah, I suspect we're at the point where it doesn't really matter what Kuno does. As long as he doesn't... Even if he loses last say, I don't know that it matters that much. Second and Nero coming out, playing the Behemoth. I mulligan the squirrel away. It's a low tempo. He just wants all his cards to play for his bunch of points. Here we got the Devotionless Elder, much worse at killing Arrakis drones. Parasite can take this out. Chimera not quite alive yet. Would be the ideal follow-up. Yeah, there's 2 Vampires players in the tournament playing Devotionless Elder. It does work better with Orianna, but it is a much worse standalone card. He's going Yazrel now. Makes sense. If he's gonna have an Orianna for later, he doesn't want multiple range locked boosted units against the Yurden deck. So Kuno spending a couple of charges, only with 3 left over. I wonder what the plan is here. Okay, so it looks like he's trying to save the Yen as he plays the Bone Talisman to keep the drones alive, which holds him over until the Chimera turn. So he'll be able to consume the drone that is bleeding for 2 this turn. Kuno locked himself into an all-in. Yeah, with the leader charges a little bit. I'm a little surprised by that. I would have thought the plan would be either go into a long round 3 or just like a softer push. But with only the 1 Anira remaining, yeah, I don't know. Still has Evolution Nest and some charges. Oh, there's the Flutter. So about with only 1 charge left. Now his Orianna is not looking that great. Does look to be valuing holding on to these charges, so he's not all in here. If the idea was to be all in, well, for one, you probably would have played the Yen earlier. But also you'd probably use an Arrakis charge before that second Chimera. I don't know, it can be an interesting deck. Anything gets kind of lame when you see it enough, right? Crimson Curse coming down. I believe he's not quite ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're exactly tied at the moment. Takes too much effort and time. Yeah, I know, right? My hair has become a mess. Like, more than usual. Just have, like, a bunch of hair in the back. That's the hard part. The hair in the back. Can't really see what's going on back there. Okay, so it does take the pass. Holds on to last play. Yurden has the yen. Looking for his swarm cards. He's still got a nest, an Andrega Warrior, and an evolution. Kicks the eggs. Picks up an Evo. Surprised he kicked the eggs instead of selection. With a double Andrega Warrior in deck. Just keeps. Okay. So really values these selections for some reason. I don't think they're going to be very good. Because he knows there's 2 Neckarots left? Also, so he can remove that armor. Yeah. Maybe the idea was... I mean, if he's able to kill Neckarots with natural selections, then... that is sort of making Yen better, since these are melee locked and the Yurden's not gonna reset them. But, now he's just got some embarrassing natural selections. I don't know. I feel like Soban maneuvered himself into a pretty good spot, but will it be enough? He's got bleeds, he's got the Neckarat that's gonna fuel the Oriana. I don't think the Oriana is gonna die. It deploys as a 7/8. You can deal 4, but it's still growing by more. It's going back up to 8.
You crossed the wrong sorceress.
Yen comes down now. These cards just aren't very good. A 4, an 8. Deciding to delay the Oriana. Bit surprised by that. There's no answer to the Oriana remaining. I guess the idea is just gonna get Yurden anyway. Is he gonna play the Feast of Blood first, too? No, okay. There we go. Here's Oriana. Throws 3 bleed onto one of the Arakuses, and then Neckarat some more. +5. Yeah. 7-point Heatwave. 5-point Feast of Blood. Last natural selection, damaging the Cave Troll down. Acknowledging that the Yurden is going to be going on that Oriana. Feast of Blood onto a 1. Probably not what you're hoping for. I guess onto a 2, you have the Yen that you can hit. Not the best, but it shouldn't matter. Ori grows, Heatwave onto the 8. There's just no points on the Arakas side of the board. Soban managing to squeeze a win out of a game that looked impossible. Yurden just not finding the value that it needed. The push not working out for Kuno. Opponent was able to spread his big boost units out. Didn't find the swarm for round 3. 2 5-point natural selections, one of them being played on armor. Just brutal. Think you're too much. Changing people jamming Vi, don't GG. Yeah, I'm very surprised to see Vampire take that. Everything just sort of worked out there. Yeah, it just doesn't look like the cards line up very well. There's no wide punish. Heatwave's not usually at its best.
You best yield now.
Squirrel round 2 could have stopped Azrael. Yeah, possibly. I'd have to look at what the graveyards were. I'm not sure how much worse it makes the Azrael. But yeah, definitely possible. I think the idea was that he thought that he was going to be able to Yurden the Azrael and the Oriana, so he just wasn't worried about it. But then his push let his opponent split all that up, and it all just sort of fell apart from there. Yurden ended up trading down to the Oriana. Anyway, now we got Soban on Elves up against Kuno's Devotion Symbiosis. Soban leading on Swordmaster, Kuno leading on his Hamadryad, both players with their bronze engines of choice down on turn 1. Taking out that Treant to stop any Deathblow value
You stand no chance.
from Nature's Rebukes. Kuno playing out the Pyrotech. Just seeing some bronzes exchanged. Soban still with a Vernaciel's Commando he can play. The Spores could end up being pretty good depending on how hard Kuno goes on to this Hamadryad. It's already playing for 6. Decides to damage the Hamadryad instead of the armor on the Pyrotech. And get down the second Commando. Pyrotech really with only one good hit? I guess this is fine. It sets up the Circle of Life to kill the Commando. Not that you necessarily have to take that now, but plays a little bit more into the Spores. What's the Tarn Removal package looking like here for Soban? So he's got the Spores and the Heatwave, and that's it. Not playing the Curse of Corruption. So weirdly enough, the Spores might be important later. Sort of a valuable 4P card. He's able to stay ahead without playing it. I'm sure he will just play some units. Spore is a pretty disgusting card against Shaping Nature especially. But Kuno gonna continue to try to fight to win the round on even, though I'm sure Spores will eventually come down and ruin those dreams. Snappers could remove the Vitality, maybe try to bait another boost card onto the Hamadryad before playing Spores. Dragoon a little bit too slow. Unless you're just looking for round 3. Oh no, this works. This works. Because you got the Vernos Commando as well. Cool. Paulie coming down halfway through the round. Turning off the Swordmaster. Now he's thinking about the Spores. Pretty good Spores, playing for 14. But now the Shaping Nature's safe. And we do see this played. It's only 9 tempo, right? 10, 11 tempo. Oh. We tied right now? +4, +1? So Vitality gets him ahead. Still threatening to win on even after a 14-point Spores. Purify sort of wants to be saved for the Defender, as there's no other real good answer to that other than maybe Yavin.
Humans to the sea!
So now we're seeing Aileron get pulled out with the Elias committed. Where am I? Right here. Hi. When you ask questions like that, I assume my camera freezes or crashed or something. Okay. So Kuno committing more stuff, playing his Call of the Forest to get foul. What is this playing out of the deck? Probably not actually roped, just a little bit of delay on the tournament platform as the Rebuke is able to find its target just fine. And the points gap still looking rough for Soban. Not only down a point here even after the commando, but more engine value for Kuno than there is for Soban in general. That said, Kuno with a bunch of good golds in hand. If he is forced to commit more of these, might not be the end of the world. He has to play his whole hand to win on even. All that he really has left is Gord Defender Pavko, or Gord Protector Pavko. Tonka. Hama Dryad plus plus Shaping Nature. Where on Soban's side of the table, still got Faint Death, still got Verno, still got Oak, still got Eastern Grim, still have Yavin, still have Full Leader. No, this isn't the Aretusa tournament. This is the weekly tournament. I believe the Aretusa tournament is off for the weekend. There's the top 64 qualifiers that should be starting in about 4 hours, I think. So if you're looking for a full day of tournament Gwent, today is your day. Defender coming down for Kuno to get ahead. And now Soban does not need to save this Purify for much. So just answers the Defender to force another card out of Kuno, trading more bronzes for golds. Despite losing on even, I don't think this went that poorly for Soban. Whoa, okay. I don't know how I feel about the leader charge there. I guess he's trying to stay ahead of a nature?
No point in showing mercy.
Gezras comes down, and that should be the end of it. If you knew ever Heatwave, you forced the last card out, right? That might be worth doing. You're for Yavin. I don't actually know what's more valuable there. I feel like the Yavin's better than Heatwave. But I could be wrong. Throwing more leader charges out? I mean, it stops from losing uneven. Okay. Not bad. Take Heatwave on Hama. Oh, true. The Defender was purified. Yeah. Yeah, you could just save the leader charge if you just played the Heatwave too. Yeah, that's a little weird to me. I feel like the mythos around Heatwave being as popular as it is and as good as it is leads people to overvaluing it a little bit in situations where they shouldn't. I feel like the card gets a lot more respect than it deserves. Definitely not a bad card, but it is very rarely the best card in your deck. It's there to fill a role, and if you don't need that role filled, just play it. Saving Heatwave for Gord. I mean, how big does Gord get in this matchup? Usually, what, like 12? There's no guarantee that you get to keep last play there. Maybe with the leader charge there was? I don't know, like if you save the heat wave and your opponent just like jams Forest Protector and has double essay, your heat wave is just bad, right? Bowman taking down one of those young dryads. And here's Pavko. Probably just gonna get moved by the Dragoon. Still has an elf from the Neromancy, so not bricked. Gonna be missing. Ends up not having access to the heat wave anyway. Okay. Happens. Yeah, I mean, despite making some really good quality trades in round 1, Guno ends up missing Gord, but having to play 3 bronzes here, not ideal, even if one of those bronzes is trading pretty well with the Pavko. Here's the Swordmaster turn. Are you thinking about placement? If you put it ranged... Oh, it's not even his turn, never mind. I was gonna say if you put it ranged, you get an extra point on your Great Oak potentially, if you're not overswarming. Thinking about a Nero first. He is going a Nero first. Okay. So you have to Oak next, otherwise the Waylay is gonna ruin your Oak. Oh, not anymore. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's sort of a big points gap. Shaping Nature playing for 8, 9, 10. Oak is full value here. Not full value here. Yeah, full value here. And then +3. I think he's just short. 16, 17, 16. This is exactly a tie. Okay, well, that's exactly a tie. We go again! Both players missing some golds in that round 3. Steam Mirror Match died. 2 very, very different decks, but yeah. Call it a mirror match if you want. Save leader, easy win. Yeah, I mean, you want to stay ahead of bad bronzes, right? Like, not using leader charge is obviously better if you know their hand is all golds, but it can be hard to make that read. Hey, little godfather. How you doing? Kuno boosted the young dryad instead of Pavko with the caress he wins. Yeah, maybe. Was he worried about getting oaked, maybe? He didn't want to make his engine more enticing a removal target. Because leader charge oak could have been played either turn. But yes, your bronze in hand for the reach. Yeah, it can be hard reads to make, but yeah. Could just be that the bronzes weren't enough tempo to win on even, so he played the Gezeras. Like a Circle of Life would have been enough, but wouldn't have been enough, but he had a Circle of Life in hand just sitting there. Am I going to reveal a card? I have not been given a date yet. I do not know. I imagine soon, within the next couple of weeks, since the expansion's releasing in like 2.5. Is my card sexy? I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what my card is. Yeah, the latest expansion, I feel like the game has gone in a really good direction. Updates have been a little bit slower, which is unfortunate, but I feel like they're really finding their footing and making a more interesting game than they had been for most of Homecoming. I felt really good about the game the last, like, 5 or 6 months. Okay, so Heatwave does decide to go on to the Donka. I believe after the tempering boost did up. Soban looking to have a bit easier of a time getting out around 1 this time. Yeah, I mean, they recognized lockdown was the problem and got rid of lockdown. I'm sure they'll eventually find, like, the right power point for Vi. It might even be, like, sort of okay now. I think you can make a case that Vi isn't a deck that should ever be something that's considered as, like, top tier, and still might be a little bit too strong, but it's definitely less problematic now than it was in December. 6-point mulligan fodder, blocking council. It's really important just to have some interaction that can deal with, like, Kelly. This deck is really bad at killing things that are bigger than 5. So having that bit of movement can, like, move Nithral or Kelly off of the row. Make it so your plan isn't just bleed and have nothing but to back it up. Tortoise Cam. He's not there. I'm playing Devo. Does that mean Vi is gonna run amok? Probably not. I don't know. I feel like there's a healthy mix of decks with tall removal and decks a little later on tall removal. And if we run Ida, yeah. I mean, you bleed the defender and then you have a poly. They only can defend her once, right? It's not like they're playing Renew. Like, at its heart, the deck is still a bleed deck, but it makes it so you don't have to bleed everything and you have an answer to at least something. Like, they'll usually play a Nithral without defender in an earlier round to try to get round control, and poly helps you shut that down. Yep, today is tournament day. Yep, top 64 qualifiers will be in about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something like that. Not sure who's going to be streaming them, but I'm sure there'll be some streams. 26 to 26, Hamadryad still boosting. Probably pretty important that the Sappers is able to answer Defender later on in the round, or later on in the game. Heatwave already played. No Spores access this time. Yeah, Soban's still struggling to not lose on even. Bit of a repeat of last game, but this time Kuno with more golds left in his deck. He doesn't have a pass. Hamadryad is growing by 2. Am I gonna stream top 64? I'm not playing it. There's plenty of people that are playing. I'd rather you just watch one of the competitors than me to, like, restream the competitors and try to talk over their stream. Bit of a janky system to try to cast it. It's also not in my usual time slot. If it, like, started a couple hours earlier, maybe I would try to do some weird casts. Earlier when his 4 cards in. Yeah, just doesn't want to give up round control for whatever reason.
Come to me, little
Still pulling ahead. Now we're seeing where instead of trading bronzes for golds, you're trading bronzes for bronzes, and this is the disaster scenario. Is the stratagem change? The stratagem change is big. They were played in the qualifiers last season too. They weren't bad, but the buff to Redea is significant, to say the least.
Coexistence. No such thing.
But yeah, if you look at the top cut lists from, I think both of last season's qualifiers, there's at least 1 or 2 players that brought Redea Elves. It's been a deck. It's not like it's completely out of nowhere. Finds his pass. Finds his pass. All sort of works out there. Better in tournament than ladder for sure. Yeah, it's a really good red coin deck. Bit sketchier on blue when playing 3 bronzes leads to you losing on even. Okay, so after a very aggressive round 1, Kuno's got 4 golds in hand. So on with a Neuromancy Feign Death. He's pushing? We're pushing?
Fixed in no time, I promise.
Okay. Pavko down. I guess the answer to Pavko is like Dragoon or something to tempo ahead. I guess maybe you just like can't beat Feign Death, Verno, Isengrim in a long round. I can see that too.
Don't dare think you can escape.
But Feign Death charge gets ahead. Threatens the card. There's Defender. This can get purified while tempoing ahead. There's that nice 2-power Dwarf, making the juicy waylay target. Crypts Plymondre.
Play with my prey. I enjoy that.
Here's the Gezeras. Okay, okay. What's the answer to this? I mean, it doesn't even need to be answered, right? It's not doing anything with the Lacerate. You could just waylay the Dwarf and... I guess like the Eithne comes down, Eithne gets boosted, so the Eithne effectively plays for 13. It's your last charge if you want to oak it. What is this? Oh. Yeah, I guess that's really good too. Just kill the Pavko. To the wrong row, but that's okay. Holds on to the Eithne. Soban with bronze in hand. That's second De Niro out. Gonna be hoping the top of his deck gives him his remaining golds. Tapping on it a few times. Trying to shake those golds out. Didn't work. Alright, Kuno also not finding his Gourd or Forest Protector. Yeah, there's the... Oh, okay. We got some. Missing the Oak, but Isengrim Vernasiel, nothing to complain about.
Your sword and arm be one.
It's like near when you can play an Officer. Officer deals 2 damage. He wanted to kill the Pavko. I mean, you could say it wasn't worth it, but that's the reason, right? He wanted to kill the Pavko. 1 in 3 for Gourd. Oh man. Scary.
Come on, lady of the blood.
I guess to have bonded officers in round 3. Or not. Circle that down. Boost up the oak critters. This might come down to the council rolling the gourd. So you get to ping something, other officer comes down, kills the last young dryad before the vitality can fully proc. Oak critters and council up against Vernacial and Isengrim and a leader charge. Here comes Verno. I think Gord might do it, but he's only one. Oh, okay, Gord might not do it. Gord kind of small. Let's see. Let's see. Council says, nope, you get a Pyrotech. So Gord would have been 11, 12, 13. It would have been 7 more? 9 more? 7 more? Yeah, not enough.